stream?
No.
Okay.
Very good. Anything weird, we can edit out, don't worry.
Okay. Cool.
We did do that a while though. I thought it was pretty cool. And I have a timer.
Policy shows do that, right?
What's that?
Policy does that. Election with
Yeah. Especially the college tournaments.
Yeah.
There's this one guy who does it a ton.
Richard.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Everyone good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Part 1 is a framework and only fully capture individual experience. More theories must take in a social context and necessarily emphasize values. Young race, social ontology, and the theory of justice presumes the individual ontology part of the social. This goes together. The normative conception of the self is independent. This fashion, or the subjective fashion implies the conceiving the conscious, the outside conceiving the self is achievement linguistic positioning only conceptualizes the concrete relation of other person and makes identities. Thus, moral theories must derive the conception of identity theory, the embodiment and interpretation of individuals and identities interact with social context. Any conception of ethics, it requires inclusion of all voices and rejection of bias and universality. Only feminist ethics have account for social inclusion of including marginalized voices and ethical deliberation. Warren writes feminist ethics involves commitment for critique of male bias and ethics in gender sensitive ways for critiques of old theories and conceptualized for new ones. Feminists the merge of sex gender analysis only whether or not the analysis reveals the gender experience for the gender social reality. Ethics become part of feminist ethics and promotes the social domination. Feminist ethics have a conceptuals for ethic for the only people come from circumstance or different circumstances must be pluralistic, projects the assumption of one voice, and feminist ethics have a reconceived of the ethical theory as a process of change over time within the set of the socio-economical circumstances, a way to evaluate claims in terms of inclusive suppressed by the given legitimacy and minimize empirical bias, whether the objective view, whether the bias has a better bias or less partial. There's a context which writes the utility appropriate for the depends on the context, and other views is reducible, and reproductive justice addresses women's autonomy in the context of social inequality. This applies to government action, also builds inclusive and intersectional movements. Ross 15. The reproductive justice is a physical, mental, spiritual, political, social, economic well-being of women and girls based on the achievement and protection of women's human rights. The reproductive justice analyzes the ability for women to have to determine whether reproductive destiny is linked by the direction of the condition for the community. Reproductive justice addresses social reality and equality for the inequality for the framework obligation includes the obligation of the government protecting women's human rights, and the key problems addressed by reproductive justice is the isolation for abortion, other social issues, and concern for the communities of colors, issue economic justice and environment, disability rights, and discrimination based on race and sexual orientation, shifting focus from reproductive oppression rather than narrow focus on abortion. Reproductive justice analyzes the way for the framework empowering women and girls relevant to every family, integrate for the multiple issues, bringing together the multiracial, multi-class in order to build back for the powerful, relevant grassroots movement. And thus, the role of the ballot is to promote reproductive justice, and the role of the judge is to use the ballot to teach critical education, academic activities, either reinforce or challenge oppression, which prefer by frame, because in debate education we should examine deconstruct oppression as well as give us values and educational claims and trade triphonous rights. Educational institution to traditionally not tolerate value for subject difference in education. West from promoted to homogenous communities of learners have some way for acknowledging and unifying threads of divergent notion of difference. We have to rethink the education of social justice via recognition for the difference between bias for education or subjectivity, crucial life for our knowledge for the border crossing for learning, as to do so ensuring the equity for the educational equity or and education for social justice. And thus the plan, the United States should overturn parental consent and or parental notification laws for abortion for adolescents. Part 2 is the harm Supreme Court in Casey versus Planned Parenthood upheld parental consent laws for abortion. This fails to uphold adolescents' women autonomy. Women rights. The court has been quickly to perceive untraditional stereotypes and traditional stereotypes on traditional women. The gender discrimination as a practice of burden of pregnancy. The court has been come to close to articulate the abortion rights and practice whether the women are the constitutional analysis of Casey. Casey has involved the challenge in Pennsylvania imposed by the variety of constraint for women who seek abortion. The court has been limited the constitutional protection severely and almost callous for disregarding women who have the most need for protection. And parental consent laws reinforce patriarchy. 2 reasons. First, bodily autonomy. They deny the adolescents women rights to control their own bodies. Berman rights. The court's bias against minors that rights could vest control in the minor, their fathers, the children independence from their parents, suppression for especially the rights of young women is motivated by the highly patriarchal doctrine which the fathers is empowering to make the decision. Parental involvement is another way to socializing young women as well as mothers. And the patriarchy and abortion is key to liberty because it carries pregnancy to a term deeply affects the mother. Women rights. The court's abortion cases contain more than discussion with the reproductive rights and have meant for women must be risked for the rights for to retain the right to privacy. And Roe describes the crimes that might be felt and women deprived, and the choice of the courts captured the despair for by turning the another purpose for another court for debate for and many women the liberty of women take at stake for the sense of unique human condition for the unique for the law. The woman has to carry the full child with subject to anxiety and the physical constraint for in pain she must bear her suffering, intimate for personal and personal for the state to insist without more a vision for the women's role dominant dominant for the vision in the course of our history and our culture. And second is domestic violence. Viewing minor women as too immature to control their reproductive choices reinforce vulnerability to domestic violence because it views them as chattels of their parents' Berman rights. The court has maintained disclination for acknowledging maturity of minors and intended for reluctance for the according to minors and equal privacy rights. The court has identified the further investigation of impact on domestic violence and positive abortion rights established for the logical expectation for the court has extended for the analysis of vulnerability for minor women, minor abortion rights for the abusive households. The court has turned back in doctrine for the view of children as their chattel for their parents and transcend the regressive legacy of Danforth and the progeny for the foundation for abortion rights and unemancipated minors. We can skip the second Berman card. And part 3 is the solvency. The government should eliminate parental consent for notification laws to protect minor women. The case has been based on flawed assumption about the family Berman rights. The court saw as a failure to extend domestic violence protection for the minors to seek abortion identified for the rectification for safety. First, for the married woman, the court has overturned parental consent statute for the negate for the constitutionality for all consent for notification regardless of the bypass procedure. The court has relied on flawed assumptions about regarding the court and about the family. The court is thinking about the suggestion for the all men love and protect their family, but not their children, but not all men love their and protect their wives. Such premises the family members' reproductive autonomy, parental consent cannot further government interest for protecting unmanned dependent minor for the addressing for the consequences of abortion decision making, cut the card decision making. And reproductive autonomy is key to adolescents' women's self-esteem because it allows them to challenge the control of Berman rights. The Ludenberg interviews counselor benefits for the reproductive autonomy for minors. Such benefits include the promotion of self-confidence, responsibility, and sense of control for the own life and destiny. The women who face pregnancy successfully go through counseling with the whole procedure of abortion. Says I'm in charge and I made that decision.
Okay. CX? Judge ready? Okay, let's talk about the arguments at the top of the roll of ballot. So, what links back to reproductive justice? What arguments do we have to discuss in order to link up?
Any type of oppression type of argument. So, like, in order to link to trifonus, you would just have to, like, read any type of oppression type of argument. Like, you can even read a court, like, counterplan or dissad. Really anything that's, like,
okay, sure. Let's talk about the solvency. So, what's the warrant in the Berman evidence, I believe, right?
Which one? I have a lot of Berman. So
the Berman 94 evidence?
That's like all my cards.
Oh, okay. The solvency evidence that says that the government should eliminate parental consent notification.
Okay, so Casey was based off of like these assumptions. Casey versus Planned Parenthood, they overturned spousal notification laws, but they didn't overturn these laws for parental notification. So the whole like warrant in it is that saying that like the court's idea of the family is that men protect their children, but they don't protect their wives. So that's like off the flawed assumption that like they could still kind of have like abuse towards like children, and it doesn't really protect like their like young girls. So
okay.
That's like.
So how do we weigh impacts under the AF, right? So
what do you mean?
In terms of like, okay, so what, is systemic impact more relevant, or like what is the terminal impact of the AF?
Like what are you asking? Like is because I mean sure patriarchy is like the impact, but like I don't understand like what do you want me to.
Okay, so the terminal impact is patriarchy. Okay, that's fine.
Sure.
Let's talk about the framework. What does Young say?
So Young is talking about like how we have to talk about the issues in the social context, meaning that we have to like actually talk about them in order to fully understand them.
Okay, sure.
So,
what does it mean to be an adolescent?
I mean, I don't define what an adolescent is. Like, I don't have a specific like time period or number.
Let's talk about like the adequacy text. You say that we should overturn parental involvement and parental notification laws. Which laws are you talking about?
Casey versus Planned Parenthood.
Okay, so just overrule the decision.
Yeah, it's just to overturn it. So
who's the actor? You said the U.S. Like, what does that mean?
Do you want me to defend courts? Because I can do that.
No, it's fine. Okay. I mean, like, I was just trying to get clarification. It's not like one is preferable over another, but let's talk about the role of the judge. What's the distinction between the role of the judge and the role of the ballot?
Okay, so the role of the ballot is just like we should prefer reproductive justice. The role of the judge is that we should like the judge should look towards oppression first. And try to go next. And that's like educational.
Is there potential pre-fiat implications that can interact with other arguments, I'm assuming?
The framework is pre-fiat.
Okay.
I mean, all frameworks pre-fiat, like even UTIL, so.
Okay. I'm gonna start prep.
3, 5, or 4?
5. seconds to do. There's 4 minutes and 1 second left. Is that right? No, that's 3:51. Sorry, my math is just not great. And mine's on
No problem.
the charger.
Can you flash?
Okay. I'm not great with that, so could I just give it to you after the speech? Like, I'm kind of worried about the.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. Judge ready?
I'm confused. Why can't you flash?
Okay, so my battery is at 5%, and I'm also like.
Can't you just save it on there real quick?
Okay, sure.
Is the charger just not working?
It like loses connection. It's in and out.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
You can borrow my charger. I don't know if like.
I don't know if it will like work for this model because it's not
Oh.
old. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's not your fault. Okay. Okay. They're just across multiple dots. So. Okay.
You're blocking the turtle.
Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Okay. There we go. One second.
She's gonna have your computer running, and then after she gets it, why don't you get to F, and then if his computer dies, we can just seamlessly. We'll stop the speech, but
Okay.
is that okay?
Yeah, sure. No problem, but
Okay.
Or not?
It's called Nancy versus Sara. Oh. There we go. It's a little to say it's not a very fast computer. Okay. There we go. Yep.
Cool.
Did I just? Okay, so once you get it up, can you put it on your desktop because I
Yeah.
saved it to
a flash
a
drive.
flash drive and not my desktop yet.
That happens to me all the time. Also, my flash drive is slow, which makes it even worse.
On the flash drive slow.
I don't know. It just like takes forever to load.
Oh.
I don't see it.
It's one of Sirius to Sara.
No, I know. Yeah, it's not on here.
Wait, are you serious?
I don't see it. I'm not lying.
Okay.
Here. Try to find. Can you just email it?
The-
Or is it on
the-
here?
I don't have the doc. That's the thing. Okay.
Okay.
I'll just use prep time and make another doc. Okay. Is that alright?
Okay, you're at 3:51.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Wait, is it called 1NC speech, Sarah?
Probably.
Okay.
I mean.
Well, I just got it. Okay, I got it. Here.
Okay, so.
Oh wait, just kidding. It's not that. Never mind. It's from
Okay.
Tam. My bad.
Okay.
Continue.
Okay. Have the doc save again.
Do you want to try to email it? Maybe that's faster.
Probably not, because my Wi-Fi's off.
Okay.
So I got you right at 2.
Okay, perfect.
Try again.
Do you want a clean flash drive? I think I have one with nothing on it, if that would help.
That might help.
Maybe, yeah. Getting really stressed out.
There you go.
Okay. Perfect.
It even has the battle for Los Angeles. Pretty cool.
Where'd you get it from? Wait.
From the battle for Los Angeles. Get 2 TSC bits and you can come fight for LA.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to do. I'm not really too big debater. I don't know when you mentioned like the terrible movie that came out.
What movie?
A movie literally called Battle for Los Angeles, which was like this terrible amateur. So I thought you'd have like one with the movie poster like plastered onto the flash.
Okay. There we go. It's definitely on the flash drive.
Okay.
I wonder if we predated that.
There we go.
Oh, no,
I think
it's
that
like
was 2012.
11. Oh, no, it's called Battle Los Angeles. So yeah, for the
Okay.
battle for.
My computer's at 1%, so can I?
Yeah, just give me the flash drive so I can flash it
Alright,
out to you.
alright, perfect.
There.
Okay, that's just a very unideal situation, but.
Oh, can I have my flash drive back?
Yeah.
Cool. Just got it.
Why aren't you loading the flash drive?
You don't want to try to charge it anywhere, it's just not working.
No, it's my teammate's able to get it to work sometimes, but he had his flight around too, so it's not really ideal. Okay.
Maybe you can borrow a coach's computer or something.
Yeah, probably it's gonna have to happen for the rest of the tournament.
I know that Timmons let me borrow a computer last year when this happened to me.
Oh, yeah, maybe they have some.
It's like a really old reading computer, but it works.
Better than nothing, right?
You're gonna need a mouse to scroll.
Okay, sure, not a big deal. Okay. Sounds good?
What's the order?
The order's gonna be 3 off AC. Potentially another off for the first half. Judge ready?
Wait, let me plug this in.
It looks like it has enough battery.
Alright.
Yeah, it's
Alright.
4 hours worth, okay.
3 off half, maybe none.
Yeah, Judge ready?
Yep.
Opponent ready?
Yeah.
A's the interpretation of medical is defined the science of diagnosis and treatment of diseases and maintenance. This is by the Encyclopedia Dictionary of Medicine. The violation is that hereafter does not actually entail the direct action of the or does not entail a disease or any treatment. It's rather dealing with pregnancy. The disease stands for common usage for my definition the most because it's field context. My author is from the medical literature, which means it has the most accurate kind of what it means to make a medical choice. Also, field context is key to finish mature. That we have effective basis for preparation on topic. Second is literature interpretation explodes limits because it allows you to read. It's under limits topic allows us to read an infinite amount of arguments that are related to medical actions whatsoever, but they're not actual medical choices because they're not entail a medical procedure. Limits is key to finish mature. A basis for our also key to education so that we can actually have coherent discussion and engage on it. It's also an independent voter because the point is that debaters who are really good are going to be deterred from engaging in this discussion if it's too broad. And B's point is that debaters who are trying to gain access to the community will be excluded from that discussion. That also links your arguments on the arguments of the role of balance. The role of judges to be critical educator, meaning we have to have education and be able to understand the discussion. These over there vote on fairness, debates, competitive structural issues, makes possible determine who's doing the better doing the education, constitutional, global, also key partition, a link to without weight and marginal one, but also you independently vote off a jurisdiction because you're not voting for a non-top galaxy, and drop the beat on topicalities, or topical specifically. Ace 1 is creates severance. Ace 1 is resets the negative in the 2NR, which is a temporal skew because my strategy is predicated on what you read in the 1. It's not something you didn't read. Ace 1 is that severance allows you to be a moving target, which also is bad for strategy, key to fairness, ensure you active access to prep, and drop the beat on topicality because you do not vote for a non-top galaxy. C1 is negative use is reactionary because the after non-topical means that I have to go for strategy to compensate for the non-topicality of your argument. Use computer accuracy. C1 is reasonably to make sense of topicality. It's either you're topical or you're not. B1 point is that reasonably is going to be arbitrarily usually established by the rater trying to be reasonable. That means if she wins reasonably, you have to use an offensive paradigm where you vote for the debater who has the most comparative offense. So only that we can have a stable metric to understand the reasonability debate. C1 is that reasonably equates your race to the highest later debaters claim to be reasonable while actually while just being abusive. And no RVINT. It commits false denying instead because it says that she should win for just being fair, which is incoherent or being topical. B's point is that it creates a shilling factor. Debaters will always read non-topical axies and then just block it out really hard and prove that there's a bunch of pragmatic benefits to their interpretation. Also, you should my topicality argument outweighs arguments. She'll go for the next speech because A's point is that my argument isolates an issue of semantic plausibility as opposed to pragmatic benefits. That means that holding to the burden of having some arguments in the counter interpretation that actually prove that her interpretation are semantically plausible, i.e. she needs to have some kind of truth-based or accuracy-seeking standard in the interpretation, otherwise rejected on face. Otherwise, it just proves that her interpretation is good for debate, not one that is actually consistent or accurate. Next off. After the United States federal government ought to give analysts the right to make medical choices instead, not to give them the right. Instead, they ought to implement mature minor capacity policies. The FCC policy should be implemented said there are certain conditions which autonomy is contingent upon. Phyllis 11. The article requires for the adoption of an alternative regulatory framework regarding to immature minor capacity statute proposal. The MCC statute proposal fuses a system of sexual education and consent licensors to regulate medical, sexual, and reproductive consent capacities. The MCC status proposal licenses sexual and reproductive capacity once a minor has fulfilled the correct objective educational and evaluative requirements. A couple of implications start, but literally solves the entirety of the act because my MCC just sets conditions on which you allow them access to make a decision, which means that it's just a different procedure. The net benefit to my interpretation, or the net benefit to the counter interpretation is that it solves the act has numerous benefits. Phyllis 11. The MCC status proposal is desirable because it resolves not only the specific problems created by conflicting age of consent and parental involvement laws, but also allows the greater systemic issues confronting the regulation of the adolescent sexuality by granting a legal maturity through one license status. The MCC status proposal does not provide irrational, arbitrary, undue burden on consenting minor abortion rights. The MCC state proposal would improve a more efficient parent-child communication and informed decision-making through sexual education. The MCC status proposal overcomes the protectionism versus enablement paradigm. The MCC statute proposal adopts a comprehensive theory of consent, which the law would be capable of recognizing different levels of adolescent maturity. These proposals will replace an age line as a baseline for consent, and the FCC recognizes sexual maturity and consent capacities objectively and preemptively. The argument she's going to go for the next week, she said that the parent is not in their vested interest and that they are going to always make bad decisions. No, that's not true. My FCC also allows for practitioners to come apart and play a role, which also solves back to the issue. The net benefit is also going to be the dishab with the linear dishab focused on universal notion of a woman oppression by feminism to a sexuality, identity, and reinscribed patriarchy, quantum impact to the EC Monty 84. The use of women as a group as a stable category of analysis assumes a universal unity between women based on a generalized notion of subordination. This move limits the discussion definition of female subject to gender identity. What categorizes women as a group is their gender above everything else. Because women are constituted as coherent sexual differences between cohesiveness of feminine subjugation powers automatically defined in binary terms. People who have it and people who don't. Women. Such simplistic formulation in intellectualism strategies to combat oppression. They reinforce binary division between men and women. This also turns back the AC because it indicates that she has an essentialist viewpoint which glosses over the nuance and specificity of the female body because she just views them as all as people who suffer with the issue of abortion. Additionally, this essentialist stereotype is what reduces violence across the globe. Patterson 2K. I don't see the encourage boys to be competitive in gender and girls to be nurturing. One fear of contaminating reason by acknowledging emotion has impoverished our studies of major social dynamics. As a consequence, we are critically ill-informed in the face of violent social forces such as nationalism, neo-fascism, and fundamentalism. Because scholars avoid dealing the power of emotional engagement, gender identities are key to manifestation of violence. Feminists insist that our investigation of violence from war atrocities to domestic battering takes seriously how masculinity is constructed. Vote next to reject the afterrealization framework. This is key to women emancipation. Siegel 2. Feminist theory reveals the futility of any attempt to define an essentialist female nature. We must reject that men women are fundamentally different. Feminist theories attempt to emancipate by subverting all dichotomies and totalities. Emancipation comes through looking at our context of knowledge with an empathetic, critical gaze. Emancipation is taking up the foundation and maintaining the politics of disturbance on the AC plan. Go to the plan text. Plan flaw. Her argument says that the United States should overturn it. No, it has to be the U.S. federal government or a specific institution within the U.S., which means that the act will never go into effect. At worst, it has no impact. Even if she doesn't pass the plan, the legislation would just get overturned. This argument, you have to independently evaluate it because the judge has a jurisdiction only to vote on actions that can be implemented into policy procedure. She herself concedes per the 1AC framing that policy discussion is important. That means that you need to have a coherent discussion. Also, on the topicality cross-apps from topicality. All the arguments for topicality are reasons why it turns back the critical pre-fail framework to the 1AC because it's referred to be topical first to engage in the topic version of the advocacy. All she has to do is defend a version which is inclusive of medical procedures that fall within the scope. It means that it falls back for office. There's no unique reason why she needs to read this position, but also it's key to having effective dialogue and being able to engage the argumentation. If you are not topical, we cannot engage. Therefore, you engage.
Okay. Is abortion a medical decision?
I say that it's probably it's related to medicine, but it's not a medical choice.
Okay, so is surgical not medical then? Is that the...
As per my interpretation, which is from academic scholar in the field of medicine, medical refers to the science of diagnosis and treatment of diseases and maintaining health.
Okay, so...
And
what would be considered a medical choice then, under your interpretation?
Under my interpretation, I'd say that vaccines is medical, right?
Okay.
Trans procedure would be medical.
So
I don't know, depends on what, routine checkups is medical, right?
Okay, so getting pills would be considered medical, right?
If they were to solve something like influenza or... Yeah.
Okay, so for abortion, women take pills, for instance, like the morning after pill or some other type of pill, forgot the name. Would that work? Would that be medical?
Would that be an example of medical? Yeah,
Sure.
sure. But
Okay.
the AFT defends overturning laws to allow abortion, which is directly not done.
Okay, cool. All right, let's talk about the counterplan. So is this kind of like...
Oh, I didn't read the number 2 Phillips Levin card. Sorry about that.
That's fine. All right, so is the counterplan just saying like it would be like beneficial for parents because they're in they influence minors, or what exactly does a counterplan do?
The counterplan, there's a couple of reasons why the counterplan is not preferable. The first one is that it educates them, right? So they're able to make a more informed decision. But the other argument is that it avoids creating an irrational, arbitrary bright line at which minors are allowed to make the choice and when they're not allowed to make the choice. So for example, in the literature, there's evidence that says oh, we allowed 16-year-olds to drive, right? But they're not allowed to buy cigarettes. Then this type of...
Is it more like parents are the ones who are influencing them to make better decisions?
It's not just parents, right? The mature minor doctrine entails that.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the argument that I'm talking about when I address the 1AC, right? I'm saying that it's rather a legal statute that sets a framework into place,
yeah,
in which allows them to have sexual education as well as consent, be able to make decisions regarding their reproductive consent, right?
Okay, cool.
So
Yeah, no, I got it.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so the Mohanty card. So a universal narrative of women's oppression blinds feminism. What does that mean? I'm not reading a narrative. How does this relate to
Okay, that's just the rhetoric of the card. He's saying that any type of approach or talk or any discussion or approach regarding a group of women that just essentializes it and speaks of it in the abstract is problematic, right? And I don't mean abstract in the fact that you're not talking about material conditions. I'm saying that you coin it as an issue or a concept that involves all women, right?
Okay. What's the status of the counterplan?
Dispositional with the disposition of if you win a straight turn, I won't kick it.
Cool. Okay, 32. Can I borrow the blank flash drive again? Because I feel like it's...
You don't have to flash it.
I don't. I have cards. So I don't know if you want to, like,
No,
see
it's
them.
fine. I do not need you to flash it. I'll just look at it during prep.
Okay, cool. Alright, T counterplan easy.
T counterplan AC, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, everyone ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Cool.
Oh wait, how much time did you have?
I have a minute 30 left.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
Everyone good?
Yep.
Okay. First, abortion is a medical procedure, professional, common usage proof, Valenti 15. Abortion is a medical procedure, and abortion is the most common medical procedure in the country. 1 in 3 American women will have abortion. Second, I need abortion is a medical choice. Overturning laws like parental notification would lead to getting a medical choice, meaning that if you have, like, overturning these laws would mean that more women can, like, get more abortions, which means that, like, more adolescents could. And third, my plan text does not take away the right to choose. It just allows adolescents to choose to have an abortion without parental guidance. And fourth, the resolution says the AC should give people the right to choose an abortion. The plan text just gives it through the right to overturning parental notification laws. And fifth, parental notifications laws are not topical, then all 7 rounds go for parental consent laws. The plan text says parental consent and or parental notification, which means I can do both, so I will just go for parental consent laws. That's fine. And Triphonis outweighs. First, it teaches debate, or is it neutral? We have to make arguments by precedents, or good and bad ones are, so we should reject oppression arguments, reinforce oppression is bad. Therefore, my framework is most appropriate for education and acknowledges the only way to accept activity for values for experience of the oppression. Second, discussion about oppression is and the debate round teaches us knowledge for necessary social change that prevents oppression in the real world, which outweighs fairness. So Triphonis justifies why critical discussion open up with the AC comes forward. Theory discussion about AC outweighs the marginal loss of fairness because any discussion is better than a theory debate. So he just says that he turns back the delinks from the roll of the ballot, but it still is a medical choice and it still is talking about oppression, so it still links. All right, go on the counterplan. First, parental consent laws hurt autonomy because they control the adolescents, they control how they do their bodies and extend the Ross card, which would solve for women's reproductive rights. That's just talking about how women are going to actually control their own bodies through having their own choices and make their own their own autonomous. They're making their own choices, and this is not, and then on his patriarchy card, this is not problematic because abortion and reproductive rights involve all women, so it's not just specific to one specific type of woman. It's not reinscribing the patriarchy because it's going to involve literally every type of woman. Even the Ross card talks about that, how it's intersectional and how it's going to infect every single person, even men. And a perm, we can adopt the mature minor doctrine while still overturning laws, and or you can still have your parents involved if you want them to. In the AC trans case, because the counterplan relies on the idea that parents can help them make a decision, but that's inherently flawed. So first, Bilotti fails to protect children's constitutional rights. It fails to uphold promised Guggenheim rights. The case has been slightly vindictive for children's rights about holding such to a thing. The reasoning for logical undergrads for the Bilotti's plurality, for the striking for different perspective. The children presumably have no constitutional rights for important life decisions. The plurality option fails to advance children's rights. And second, adolescents do not have their parents' permission, which would lead to unsafe abortion. Bilotti ensured the public opinion process over abortion. Guggenheim rights. The Bilotti rule have been making sense for public policy terms. The pregnancy children who have not seek the permission is based off the concern for the children who have to seek their parents and therefore have not to do so. Whatever the law has required, this will lead to unacceptable results. Whether the children are not tell their parents are unable to terminate their pregnancy, will still do late, and they still have to tell their parents not to obtain an illegal abortion. They're jeopardizing their health. Cut the credit health and go on the AC. Extend young that all moral theories are based upon the idea that identity is persectional, even though they're supposedly objective. We should examine both moral theories and social work comes from and extend more, and the only framework that avoids genocidal exclusion, tryphos, which means we have to talk about oppression within the round. They still and then also extend the harms, extend Berman, the parental consent reinforces the patriarchy as fathers have control of their bodies, and this court is reluctant to give minors independence, and also on the solvency extend Berman that the court should overturn cases to protect minors. And the decision was based on the assumption that all men love and protect their families, but that not. It further puts them in the interest of minors to make their own medical decisions. So all he says, there's a plan flaw because it's not the U.S. federal government. Legislation could overturn these types of laws, but no, I define that I said in crossings I would defend the courts. The courts will do this. That means it's not a plan flaw because it is still a part of the U.S. federal government, and also is not going to be overturned because courts courts will do it. They have done it before. 3 row.
Two. Okay. Can I just see the answers to T?
Yeah. Do you need it still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Is it alright if I leave it there? Or do you need
Yeah, it's fine. No, it's fine.
Okay, 6 minutes. The order is going to be T, and then the counterplan debate potentially. Judge ready?
Yep.
Opponent ready. Framing issue is that she did not meet a counter definition of the last speech. Counter definition is the necessary condition. The topicality debate is the litmus test to determine whether there is a basic literature. Issue one is that textual precision, if an environmental topic would not, even if it's legitimate, would not be topical. But the card that she reads is Valentino 15. Literally says that abortion is a medical procedure. The problem is that she does not define medical procedure in a way that is inclusive to that. My definition obviously contests the fact that she needs to have a counter definition under which her author is consistent with or inclusive with, which means that her evidence is not relevant. But go to the line, brother. Extend Miller and Keene, which says that medical literally refers to the science of diagnosis of treatment of disease. Extend the violation that says pregnancy is not treatment. It does not refer to that. Yes, the act of an abortion might be a medical procedure, but that does not mean it is a medical choice in the sense that the resolution is speaking to the problems that she does not actually define what it means to be a medical condition. The fact that my interpretation defines what it means to be medical and hers defines what our author just asserts that abortion is a medical procedure does not mean that there's direct conflict in terms of it. That means that my interpretation could literally co-opt the I mean. It could just essentially be that abortion is a medical procedure, but getting the pills and the treatment necessary prior to abortion is the autonomous medical decision that the resolution is talking about, which means that her argument is not relevant. On the number 2, she says abortion is a medical choice. There's no warrant for this. It literally just says that it requires parental notification. That does not mean that the aff entails, that does not mean that relies on some type of evidence or some type of counter-interpretation. This is not an I meet that's relevant. Also, she says the aff doesn't take away the right to have a choice. That does not mean that the aff itself is granting a choice. The number 4. The number 4 says that the resolution is getting rid of parental laws. The problem is she doesn't have a solid advocate that entails that would do so. She says the courts overturns the decision. That does not mean that they are giving them an autonomous medical choice. They might be granting them the ability to make medical act on a medical procedure, but that does not necessarily entail that she should get a medical choice. On the standard level debate, she's uncovered the nuance of the limits argument. This literally directly interacts really well with Chauvinist evidence extended. Under her interpretation, there's a litany of things that are related to medicine or medical choices, medical procedures that the act can defend, such as her advocacy, which means that it literally kills the negatives, that ability to gauge, because there's a litany of cases that they prep. Also, you can send the abuse point, but this also directly turns back to Chauvinist evidence. You say that my argument outweighs the slight edge of fairness loss. I'm not going for fairness. This is a limits argument. I contextualize this as an independent voter. My argument literally says that debaters are going to be deterred from competing in activity where there's too much broadness on the topic, not enough ability to engage in discussion. You also can see the easement which good debaters will quit because they will always have an insurmountable case for me. You can simply feel the context evidence. This is direct interaction with your evidence. Also, call her author at the end around the I need carded evidence that she's reading is from literally a blog. Her author is from feminist. Is obviously they're going to be slanted in the perspective that's saying that abortion is a medical choice or that it has some type of relevancy because they always want to move their project or promote their cause. But you should prefer Miller, a couple of reasons. Ace Point, my author is a medical professor, and he's taking our impartial perspective on it. Ace Point is that he's reading, he's a lexicographer, he's writing it for a dictionary, which means that he's always going to always take the most impartial perspective. He's not going to have a slant one way or another, while your author is always going to be self-reported and make claims in favor. Ace Point is that you should also prefer Miller and Keene because it's and if it's a medical dictionary, it's going to be one of the most commonly referenced in literature. So that means when any author is writing the issue of medicine, they're always going to take a perspective that has some type of dictionary basis. Also, you can instantly feel context evidence. Literally, that this is the way that they sculpt the topic, which means that it is better for us to access the most relevant discussion and having better engagement. Also, you can see this argument has an internal link to your Chauvinist arguments in terms of the role of math. The way that we can engage is by making sure that we have relevancy to the discussion that's supposed to be at hand. Now you can extend the argument that she also undercovered semantic plausibility ways. You have to have an argument that makes a true-seeking claim in your counter-interpretation or I mean level. You do not do that. You need to prove that it is semantically plausible, not just theoretically legitimate. Then you can extend the drop debater arguments on T. You've dropped those. Severance outweighs. Also, you can see the extend the thesis point, which says negative use is reactionary, which is the reason why, under my interpretation, any negative use is outweighed by the topicality use. And extend it's competing in church. You can see that it doesn't make sense to defend reasonability under topicality. Now on case, go to the MCC Kaplan. The number 1 argument is fundamental misunderstanding of the actual text. You can extend the Phillips 11 evidence indicates that we literally provide certain constraints. It's just a condition CP. That was the explanation as for the one. And see, that's the reason why it's consistent because you cannot do the exact same thing as the alpha in a different approach. Because that would be actual topical or some type of fiat abuse, which is something that should be independently rejected because it's stressing that she's by the engagement. Also, my argument just says we adopt an alternative regulatory framework, which means that we determine a level where they're mature enough to make viable decisions. The disadd to that is the brain dev argument. That's literally in the Phillips 2 evidence. It literally says that it ensures that we don't have an arbitrary rational metric or bright line to assess when minors are able to make coherent decisions regarding this. Also, my argument solves 100% of the F. That means that there's no unique offense. If there's any dissent to the EC, it's a reason why you vote F. Now, go to the critique. On the critique. Keep the alt. She didn't ask me about the status. It's a linear dissent to the EC. You get to the Mohanty 84 evidence, which says that your defenseless views of feminisms are problematic because they are re-inscribed the violence. You say that no, abortion refers to all women. We have to have a discussion in the broad scheme. No, my argument is just we have to talk about specific identity groups and how it relates to them. You can talk about how the oppression that results from having to make abortions is worse for black adolescents, for example, like they receive stigmatization. Or you can read arguments for why certain women in certain ideologies, certain categories of women take a toll in a much worse way, which means that our argument is still germane to the issue. Now you can send the impact evidence, which says that eventually the senseless stereotypes is what creates the violence. It creates the static stereotype, the views in the world, which are always problematic, and then recreates the issue that you talk about. Turns out under extend the Peterson 2K evidence, literally says it's the type of ideology that creates women are supposed to have certain traits and men are supposed to have others. Only the negative world which moves away by that, allowing the ones that are considered mature to make coherent decisions solves back to the issue, because it doesn't view them as whether they're male or not female, it's rather whether they're mature and can make a coherent decision. That's what we get.
Yeah. T counter plan, AC. Did I do that?
No, that's me.
Oh. Okay. We're good? Okay.
T.
Counter plan, and then AC.
Cool.
Everyone good? Okay. Extend that the Lenti 15 abortion is a medical procedure and it's also common usage. He just says that it's just a feminist blog argument, but no, like anyone would know abortion is a medical procedure. You're literally getting someone, like a baby taken out of you. That's a procedure. Also, like you can extend the abortion is a medical choice and overturning laws like parental notification would lead to getting a medical choice. He just says that it's not an I mean. I don't have any type of cards to make an I mean, or it just doesn't apply. But no, abortion it still applies, and overturning laws like parental notification would lead to getting a choice like getting an abortion. So so the argument still stands, and the I meet still meet I still meet the T shell. Also, you can extend the resolution says the AC should give people the right to choose an abortion or a medical choice. A medical choice means that you can I guess or the way he's placed it is getting pills, but pills are still abortion too. So abortion will always be a medical choice and through pills or just through a surgical procedure. So the plan text always gives the right through overturning parental notification laws, which is key to solving for getting an abortion or solving for a medical choice. So on the counter plan, you can extend the Guggenheim argument that Bilotti fails to protect children's constitutional rights because it upholds the promise. You also can extend the second Guggenheim argument that adolescents do not want their parents' permission to leave an unsafe abortion. This is key because under the mature doctrine or mature minor doctrine, which he places out, he says parents will give the authority by helping the minors get have more a decision and kind of make them more mature. But the problem is by a parent's permission, it will ultimately fail because it's actually going to hurt off minors' decisions. You also can extend the Ross card again because the Ross card ultimately solves for his I forgot the card name, but his patriarchy card that talks about like how it's going to like hurt all women. But no, the reproductive framework card from Ross, it talks about how women of color and also women who have disabilities, just women in general, all are like key to solving for reproductive autonomy. So that's like still solves for his card. And also you can extend the perm because we can adopt a mature minor doctrine while still overturning laws like parental notification or like Casey versus Planned Parenthood because it has been done before. So we can and you can also through Roe, but also you can have your parents and get involved if you want to. So this ultimately does not solve for the case. It's actually making it worse off for adolescents because he's not going to actually like help them. He's going to make them worse by having like parents be a part of like the like autonomous like decision making on case. You can still extend the solvency card, which is the Berman card that like, talks about how the court will overturn case like court cases like Casey to help adolescents. That's key because he doesn't answer this, and that will still solves for the perm because you can still overturn laws like this has been done in Roe v. Wade, like through stare decisis, like it's been tried to do before. So so we can still like perm it, and you can still solve for the counterplan by doing the AC. So he doesn't solve for the AC. Also, T-Shell, the Valenti card still applies because it is common usage, even if it is from a feminist law.
Let's do the plain text and the counterplain text.
Do you want to show it to us on camera?
Yeah, sure.
Alright.
Is there like unplug your charger?
Yeah. I'm just. Is it alright for us to back real quick?
Okay. The context is here, and it's not.
Where's the Guggenheim card that you're extending?
It's in another doc. Sorry, give it. It's in the third one.
I'm in this section.
Yeah.
one says there are certain conditions which autonomy is contingent upon, fills 11. Then CP solves F and its numerous benefits, fills 11. Then it would be great for third parties to ensure better health options, stronger.
Oh, that one? No, I didn't read the third one.
You didn't read the third.
Yeah, the way I had it on was only computers different than that one.
these field context type arguments impact to the kind of accuracy seeking or semantics first weighing arguments that are kind of sprinkled throughout the topicality debate. One of them is at the bottom of the standard where he says that you could justify really anything unless you constrain it through a semantic interpretation. And at the very top where he says it's a framing issue because it's a litmus test to see whether it's in the literature. So I end up thinking that he has a better definition in terms of the accuracy, I guess, of the use of the terms, even though yours is common usage. But you have to go a step further than these appeals to just like, oh, anyone would know, like clearly it's a medical procedure. Like, yeah, I'm inclined to agree, but he's done a lot of work to show that you did not meet the threshold of having that definition doing that work. You should make the argument, so I think that the 2 and R is right that your I mean arguments are not exactly I mean arguments because you are really defending a different definition of medical that is not just medicines. You want to defend that it's also the act of abortion. Now you do have an I mean. One of your I means I think is good, which is that the act would lead to like the legalization of the pills and stuff that are the actual medicines that these adolescents can take. But the 2 and R makes argument that that would be extra topical, and you don't say this exactly, so I think you need to do work on this I mean a little more. But the 2 and R does say that there's a distinction between the getting of the pills and the actual act of abortion, and that since the act offends both, it's non-topical.
Okay.
Correctly, you should say it's extra topical, even if it would lead to legalization of the medicines, it's extra topical. But I thought the more obvious I mean for you was one line in the definition you use is that medical refers to procedures that lead to, or I don't remember the exact wording, but the phrase is the maintenance of health. And so I think you could have made a pretty obvious I mean that abortions are good for the maintenance of health of the adolescent for a number of reasons, right? So I think that was a decent I mean. I thought on the rest of the debate you were doing really well, so I first went to the counterpoint because I thought that was the easiest part. There's a bunch of T stuff to sift through. If I can vote neg on the counterpoint, I will, and I really didn't think there was a clear ballot. I thought the perm was a really good option in this debate. I thought, I'm not sure if it would have been a 19